So, is France willing to replace the United States by covering the European continent with its own nuclear umbrella? Well, on March 5th, French President Emmanuel Macron delivered a grave address warning that Russia poses a growing threat to France and Europe, especially in light of President Trump's decision to cut off aid to Ukraine. In his speech, he announced his openness to discussing the extension of France's nuclear deterrent, which currently comprises of around 290 warheads deployable via aircraft and submarine to protect European allies. He stated, quote, "Our nuclear deterrent protects us. It's complete, sovereign, French through and through. But responding to the historic call of the future German Chancellor, I have decided to open the strategic debate on the protection of our allies on the European continent through our nuclear deterrence." Macron emphasized that any decision to use nuclear weapons would remain solely with the French president, maintaining national sovereignty over the arsenal. He framed his proposal as a response to the shifting global order, particularly Trump's perceived retreat from NATO commitments and his alignment with Russia, which has left Europe questioning U.S. reliability. Macron's comments came on the eve of the EU summit in Brussels, which took place on March 6th, where leaders discussed ramping up military budgets and support for Ukraine. His nuclear umbrella proposal was a key topic, reflecting Europe's scramble to bolster its defenses amid uncertainty over U.S. support. Lithuanian Prime Minister Gitanas Nausėda called it a very interesting idea, noting that a French nuclear umbrella could serve as a very serious deterrence towards Russia. Latvian Prime Minister Evika Salina was more cautious, saying it was too soon to consider hosting French nuclear weapons. Czech Prime Minister Peter Fiala labeled the debate premature, stressing that security is still guaranteed by U.S. cooperation. Outgoing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz urged Europe to not abandon hope in U.S. protection. However, the proposal is gaining traction in Germany, partly due to Friedrich Merz talking about the want to have France or the United Kingdom extend the nuclear umbrella to cover Germany. Now, the Kremlin obviously reacted sharply, with spokesman Dmitry Peskov calling Macron's speech extremely confrontational, accusing France of wanting the Ukraine war to continue and claiming nuclear leadership in Europe. Again, the Ukraine war will stop today if Russia just gets out of that country. They always seem to forget that. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov labeled it a threat against Russia, dismissing European war fears as stupid accusations. Putin himself mocked the idea, warning Macron of a Napoleon-like fate, but lost on the entirety of Russia, or just purposefully ignored because that's how they operate, is the fact that, ironically, the most recent country to gain nuclear weapons on the European continent is Belarus in 2023. Courtesy of Russia. Now, French far-right leader Marine Le Pen reiterated her opposition, insisting that the French nuclear deterrent must remain French. Now, the Trump administration has not commented, but a more independent French-led nuclear umbrella could diminish U.S. influence in European defense and create rifts within NATO if some members favor relying on France over the U.S. This shift also raises non-proliferation worries, as it might encourage other European states to seek their own nuclear capabilities rather than continue to rely on the existing U.S. security frameworks. Poland would probably be the most likely to do this. In turn, U.S.-Russia relations could worsen, with Moscow responding aggressively and making arms control negotiations more difficult. The Kremlin may further deploy nuclear weapons in an escalatory fashion, or preemptively strike a smaller nation if they start building a nuclear program, bringing NATO into war with Russia. And none of this is what anyone wants. But in a world where U.S. security guarantees and the fact that they have become an unreliable partner, this is kind of what we get. Now, also, analysts are questioning whether France's 290 warheads compared to Russia's 5,500 could credibly deter Moscow, especially without U.S. backing. Some suggest pairing this effort with the United Kingdom's 225 warheads. But France's doctrine, which is focused on defending national and vital interests, would have to be reformulated to cover allies and integrate with the United Kingdom. Nonetheless, given that 1/3 of Russia's population, or about 45 million people, live in 30 cities, along with Russia's total command and control infrastructure, the singular French deterrent is still pretty credible, and nothing is saying that France can't increase its arsenal, as they have no treaty obligations capping them. Now, Russia's belligerent posture and its hawkish deployment of nuclear arms in Belarus and its invasion of Ukraine highlight a blatant disregard for European security and international norms, while hypocritically lamenting Europe for wanting to secure itself. Moscow's attempt to mock France's resolve and dismiss legitimate fears in the face of actual Russian aggression and war crimes only reinforce the necessity for Europe to stand united and re-examine its own deterrence capabilities, free from the illusions about the Kremlin's intentions and the potential of a security guarantee that is waning from the United States. And while Putin derides Macron's initiative as Napoleon-like, the real imperial relic is Russia's enduring habit of issuing threats, bullying neighbors, and invading sovereign countries to maintain influence. Europe can no longer afford complacency. A strong response to Russia's aggression, backed by a genuine nuclear cooperation among willing European states, now appears not only prudent but imperative to deter Moscow's penchant for reckless brinksmanship.